Coming up with this minimum monthly income figure that we calculated in the last video, I think really helps people understand just in practical terms how much how affordable these rents are. But there might be a way to make it even more understandable, and that would be to figure out what you would have to earn per hour if you were working 40 hours a week in order to afford that $1,192 a month apartment. Um, so let's see. Let's insert another column to the right, or sorry, to the left here. There we go. And let's call this hourly wage. This is what you would have to earn per hour in order to be able to afford that apartment. So let's see. A typical work week is 40 hours a week. If and there are 4 weeks in a month, so that would be 40, 80, 120, 160. If you 160 hours a month if you multiply 40 hours by four. And in order to get the hourly wage, we would need to take the monthly wage and divide it by that 160 hours to come up with what you would have to make for a given hour. So again, just more instructions, equal sign. Let's take the minimum income and divide by 160, the number of hours you work in a month if you work 40 hours a week, and autofill. Um, so now we have the cost of a typical apartment in even more practical terms. Looks like if you want to rent an apartment in Davidson County, you're going to have to earn about $25 an hour. In Robertson County, $20 an hour. Here in Rutherford County, where we are, $24 an hour. Looks like the cheapest is Sumner and Wilson at about $22 an hour. And in Williamson, it's the most expensive of all, 33 bucks an hour. Um, so um, so that's maybe a little sobering. I don't know of too many jobs, certainly not available to young people your age working part time in college that pay 25 bucks an hour, right? Um, so that's maybe a little sobering. Let's break this down even further. Maybe let's suppose that the best job you can get is a minimum wage job. Let's insert another column to the left here. Um, so how many minimum wage jobs would it take to equal 25 bucks an hour? Um, One way to do that is to take the $25 an hour and divide it by the minimum wage, the seven and a quarter. Um, so let's call this min wage jobs, like that. Um, and then instructions again, start with the equal sign. Let's take the $25 an hour and divide it by the federal minimum wage, seven and a quarter, 7.25. And it looks like it would take, whoops, this shouldn't be let's go ahead and autofill it, but we don't want this to be a dollar sign. We want this to be just a number. Let's go with just the number here. There we go. Um, so it looks like it would take about three, almost four minimum wage jobs, 40 hours a week. And a lot of minimum wage jobs are not 40 hours a week. They're more like 36 hours a week, or even 20 or fewer hours a week. But a minimum wage job, it would take about three of them, almost four of them, to afford that apartment in Davidson County. If you're in Williamson County, the most expensive county, it's going to take almost five minimum wage jobs in order to afford a typical place to live. And so this is probably the clearest of all, right? This really illustrates why it is so difficult for somebody who's working an entry level job to be able to afford a place to live in the counties right here in the Nashville area. Basically, what has to happen is you've either got to work two jobs, 80 hours a week at minimum wage, or more likely, you've got to have a roommate or two who are also working minimum wage jobs, and then the three of you or the four of you actually are going to have to pool your income in order to be able to afford that apartment. And it might be a little crowded. You have to like each other a lot, and or you might have to go with just 3 minimum wage incomes and understand that your the amount of your total household budget that you spend on housing is going to be greater than 30% of the household income, and you have to tighten the budget elsewhere. Um, but but so I want you to see a couple of things here. First of all, how to use a spreadsheet, how to get the spreadsheet to do math and replicate math and calculate things in a way that's convenient and fast and accurate, and that's really important. Um, but also, some thought went into this, right? Our goal here isn't just to do math. Our goal is to do math aimed at contextualizing this median rent figure. What does it mean for people in practical everyday terms? And that's what we've been able to conclude with the math that we used here. We've been able to conclude that, well, it means you're going to have to make at least $3,973 a month, um, which comes out to an hourly wage of $25 an hour. Or if you happen to be working a minimum wage job, you're going to need more than three such jobs in order to be able to comfortably afford that apartment. So what we've done is we've taken the raw data and we've interpreted it and done a little journalism and made it more understandable for the audience that we're going to write this story for. Okay, if you've gotten this far, congratulations. This is all the spreadsheet work that I'm going to ask you to do this week. All you need to do now is give your spreadsheet a name so that you can keep track of it when you come back to it. We'll be working with this data over the next couple of weeks as we get into graphing and mapping. But you need to give it a name, and you also need to share it so that I can come look at your work and make sure all of your instructions were correct and so forth. So first of all, to give the spreadsheet a name, just click on this Untitled Spreadsheet title that you get by default, and let's call this Rent Analysis, like that. All right. Notice we never have to stop and save anything or back up. That's because periodically Google Sheets will just save it for you. So it's got an auto save feature, which is terrific. Another thing you can do to kind of help keep things organized is change the name of this sheet. Remember, we inserted this sheet in order to have room to do this analysis of just the Davidson County area. Our original data is still back here on this Rent Data tab. But if you don't like the Sheet 1 name, you can just click the little down arrow and choose Rename and change it to something like Nashville Area Analysis, like that. You can't type as many characters as you want here, but Google Sheets is pretty generous with the number of characters it will allow you when naming a tab like that. So this will help me remember when I come back to this spreadsheet exactly what I did where. And then the final thing I need you to do is share this sheet with me so that I can come check it out. So just find the big green share button up here, click on that. And the easiest way to do this, if we get through all the reminders, is, let's see, find this Change to Anyone with the Link button right here. Just click on that. And change this Viewer button right here, this Viewer option. Change that to Editor. Ordinarily, you don't want to do this with your data sets and with your Google Docs because that means that other people can come to this particular spreadsheet and change it and edit it and modify it and so forth. But I promise I won't mess it up. The editor access allows me to be able to see your formulas, and if I find a mistake, I can correct it and show you how I fixed it. It's a whole lot easier to do that than if all I have is view access. That I can't do anything except to look at the results of your spreadsheet. So you've changed it to anyone with a link has editing access, and while you do that, Google Sheets is going to build this big, hairy, huge URL up here. Just copy that URL. You can highlight it and right-click and choose Copy, or you can just click the Copy Link button right there, and that'll copy it to your clipboard. And that's the link that I need you to submit using the online form, the Google Sheet URL form. send me that, and I'll be able to come look at your spreadsheet. When you're finished, you've got the link copied, click done, and then switch over to the form, paste that link into the URL blank and your name, and submit the form. Um, okay, congratulations. And in the upcoming lessons, we'll look at even more things that you can do with this data.